National Botanical Garden. We're one of 9 botanical gardens across South Africa, and we belong to the South African National Biodiversity Institute. It is our responsibility to focus the attention of the South African people on our rich biodiversity. And the botanical gardens are one of the perfect ways to do that. If you listen to the bird calls and if you look at the trees that are starting to burst into flower, you can see that spring is already here. And what we want to do is we want to bridge the gap between our visitors and the garden. We want to make the garden as accessible as possible. And we do that in a couple of ways. One of the ways we do that is by information. If you walk through the garden, you will find various storyboards telling you why biodiversity is important and creating those links between us and our environment. One of the other ways we do that is also by information guided tours, by interactions. Satoria brings groups to the garden quite often, and in that way we have a personal touch to the contact. We also want to make sure that all visitors can visit the garden. That's why the majority of the garden is accessible to wheelchair users. We've also recently created a braille trail which enables our blind visitors to actually navigate the trail by themselves. Once they're there, they're able to navigate the trail. There is braille on hand. For those who are not able to read braille yet, there is storyboards that somebody who is sighted can help them with. So it's all about making the garden accessible. Education is a very important part of making it accessible. We often bring schools to the garden from the Mpumalanga area, so we really want people to take ownership of the gardens from all walks of life and just to experience the biodiversity of our country. You can hear the birds, you can see the trees, and all of it works together to create a beautiful ecosystem.
The plant lebat is 3 days but this it's like an assegai. So, but you know, the whole plant.
Tourism Month in Mpumalanga has officially been launched by the MEC. Well, he said we must travel, know and explore our province. Asambege. Our next stop is the Orange Winery Shop for some wine tasting, of course. Some sapuza.
Rocha Wineries has been going since 1959. It used to be on a farm. What happened, the way it started was back at the turn of the century, around about 1900. There was a German missionary out in Natal, and he needed communion wine. So he knew there are no grapes in Natal. So he knew how to make wine from oranges. So he made communion wine from oranges, and he taught his 2 grandsons how to make the wine. They then started a farm, one in Muiden and one here in White River. The White River one was 1959. He then, his name was also Rocha, that's why the name is called Rocha. He sold to some TV personality and radio personality, Kurt and Laura van Heerden over there. And they ran the farm and made wine for about 25 years. And then they decided to farm just with macadamia nuts. So they sold the business to their niece, Christine, and her husband Jaco. They brought the business here, and they were here for about 4 years and they closed down. Then I bought it to start it up again, and I ran it as a sideline, and I also started a distillery. So we still make the wine, the original wine from 1959, the same wine we're making, but we're also making, so that is the orange. And it's the wine is very much like a port or a sherry. It's not a table wine. So don't think of it as a red or a white wine. It's not. We're not even allowed to call it wine because it's made from oranges.
I am now joined by Usis Prudence from Bushbuck Ridge FM. Sister, how are you?
Ngiyaphila njani?
Hayi ngiyazama. Bushbuck Ridge ngiyaphila.
Yeah, akuhlangahlangan kahle.
Okay, so how's your day been so far? It's the media tour ihamba njani for wena so far?
kube mnanzi kakhulu because siqale kuseni saqala ke botanical garden where lapho i-Department of Tourism i-launch this month ngalokusemthethweni bayibeka lenyanga ngalokusemthethweni. So it was great ngoba bakhonile nje ukuthi bahlukanise some of the things leti tabe titendeka lo muhla to this 2 month.
Lapha ngibona le braille labantu labangaboni. I think lento le ngathi bangayikhulisa nje kulama park wonke kube na le braille labantu labangaboni, and then especially nalaba ma wheelchair and interpreting. So up to so far ngiyabona ukuthi ngathi siya improve kule tourism lethu la eMpumalanga.
From here we off to Hazyview, Elephant Whispers, to do the a tour with the elephants, just basically to learn more about their habitat, you know, how they live, you know, so that's basically what the tour is going to be about.
Alrighty, so what exactly are we doing with 6 African giants with guys on their backs? Now, ladies and gentlemen, African elephants are in a lot of trouble at this stage of their existence. And the main threat towards elephants is us, human beings. In northern and central African countries, more than 100 elephants get slaughtered every day for their ivory. It's around about 30,000 elephants a year, which means they're going to drive elephants into extinction in northern and central Africa within the next 10 or 12 years. On the southern side of Africa though, Botswana southwards excluding Mozambique, we have the opposite problem. We have too many elephants. And the main reason for that is loss of habitat. 250 years ago, these gentle giants roamed freely over 97% of the open land mass on the southern sides of Africa. We as humans only took up 3%. Now the roles are reversed. We have taken the 97% and left just 3% for elephants. The 6 elephants we have were all orphaned elephants from population controls. And our company decided, rather than to see all these beautiful elephants being put down, that they would set up a training center and rescue as many of the young elephants as they could to use them as educational tools. To give people like you the opportunity to personally meet an elephant and leave here afterwards, hopefully, with a deeper love and knowledge of these incredible animals.
And now my people, we're wrapping up our day at Hippo Hollow. We had traditional dances. It's not only Tourism Month, it's still Heritage Month. So we had beautiful dances that we're doing it traditionally. They did a dance in Isiswati, they did a dance in Venda, and they did a dance in Tsonga. That was beautiful. Now we're going to be tasting some crocodile meat, we're going to be tasting some mashonja worms, we're going to be having all that and more. But then of course, it's not the end of the day, the night is still young, I hope. But from us, till tomorrow as the journey continues.